Hello fellow stackers, 365 here, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I wanted to talk to you about stacking on a budget. Now for those of you that haven't yet bought your first piece of precious metal, whether that be gold or silver, this is a video for you. But before we go any further, I want to clarify that I'm not a financial advisor, so do always make your own investment decisions and do always research any investment before you invest any money into it. Now this is a video for those of you that are still sitting on the fence, for those of you that are watching videos like mine and other videos here on YouTube, and you're trying to work out what piece of precious metal to buy, whether you should invest in silver, whether you should invest in gold, whether you should buy a 1 ounce gold coin, whether you should buy a 1 ounce gold bar, whether you should buy a sovereign, whether you should buy a 1/4 ounce piece of gold, or whether you should just buy a 1 gram gold bar. Now, my advice to you would be just buy anything. Just buy any 1 ounce silver coin. Just buy any piece of gold that is in your budget. Just get your foot on the ladder. Just buy something. Just go out there, go to Atkinson's, go to eBay, go to the Silver Forum, go anywhere and just buy your first piece of precious metal. Now, the reason I say that is because once you have your first piece of precious metal under your belt, you'll learn so much from that experience, whether it be you learning not to buy on eBay because you've been sent a dodgy 1 ounce silver coin, you paid £20 and they sent you a piece of copper that's plated with silver, or whether you went on the Silver Forum and you bought a sovereign and it arrived and everything was absolutely fine. Whatever your first experience goes, however it goes, it's all part of the journey. It's all part of the learning curve. Now, when I first started, I went straight to the Royal Mint. I went straight to the Royal Mint because I wanted to make sure it was authentic. I didn't really know where else to go, and I just wanted to get my hands on some gold and some silver. Now, looking back, that was a bit of a silly move because I paid 20% VAT because the silver was brand new. And I also paid quite a high premium as well, because when you go to the Royal Mint, when you go direct to any mint, you pay a slight premium as opposed to going to some of the other bullion dealers online, because the other bullion dealers, they buy in bulk, so therefore they can afford to sell for slightly cheaper than the mint because they're actually getting a discount because they're buying in bulk in the first place, as opposed to if you just go on the Royal Mint and you buy a 1 ounce Britannia, for example, you're going to pay that premium because you're buying just one piece. Whereas the smaller dealers, Atkinson's, Chards, bullion by post, whatever it may be, they buy in bulk, they buy in monster boxes, so they're actually paying less per ounce of silver, for example, so they can afford to still sell it to you for less than it would be if you was to go to the Royal Mint, but at the same time they're still making a slight profit. So all these things are very, very relative and very, very important. And I think it's very important just to get your foot on the ladder, get your foot through the door. Go out and buy your first piece of gold. Go out and buy your first piece of silver. Don't get too caught up on what it might be. Don't get too caught up on the different designs that there are. Don't think, oh, should I buy a Britannia? Should I buy an American Silver Eagle? Should I buy a Libertad? Should I buy a Kangaroo? Should I buy a Silver Maple? Don't get too caught up on the actual piece. Just go out and make that initial purchase, because at the end of the day, you've all got to start somewhere. And I think it's very, very important to just get your foot through the door and start your stacking journey, because like I said, you will learn a lot from not only where you've made your first purchase, but also from the first purchase that you buy. Now, a lot of people like the idea of investing in gold and they think it is way out of their league, and they think that it's too expensive, and they see these 1 ounce gold bars and gold coins and they think, I don't want to invest £1,600 on my first purchase. But that's where fractional gold is so important. And for those of you that are watching this video that don't yet invest in precious metals, but you invest in the stock market, look at fractional gold the same way you look at fractional shares. If you haven't got enough money to buy a particular stock in the stock market, you can buy a fraction of that share, and it's called a fractional share. So for example, when Google shares were £1,000 each, you could go in there and you could buy a fractional share. You could buy a fractional piece of Google. You could invest £50 or £20 or even £10 and own a fraction of that share. And it's very similar in the precious metals market. Now, I wouldn't recommend going that low on silver, for example, because 1 ounce of silver is already very, very reasonably priced. You can pick up 1 ounce of silver for between £23 and £25 if it's your standard second-hand piece of bullion. Whereas with gold, I would highly recommend going out and buying those smaller fractional pieces because they have a number of benefits. They're more liquid, they're easier to pick up, they're easier to sell. And although you pay a slight premium when you're buying fractional gold, it's a way of entering the market without putting too much capital at risk, especially, like I said, for those of you that are just starting out and you haven't yet pulled the trigger. You don't want to be investing £1,600 in a whole ounce of gold only to realize a couple of months down the line that it's not for you. You don't enjoy it as an investment. You need the capital, and then you've got to sell it potentially at a loss because you haven't given it enough time to grow. Now that's where I think 1 gram gold comes in very, very handy. And I have said it many times before that I'm a huge fan of 1 gram gold. I think it's a really great way of entering the precious metals market. I think it's really liquid. I think it's really enjoyable because you can pick up different pieces from different mints and you can get a nice selection, a nice variety. And if you're looking at picking up a 1 gram gold bar, for example, today's prices, you're looking at around about £55 to £70, depending on whether it's second hand and depending on where you go to pick it up. But I think if you're investing under £100 for a piece of gold, it's a very nice way of making that first purchase and actually getting something physical in your hand, because there's nothing quite like owning a physical investment. There's nothing quite like holding a piece of gold or holding a piece of silver in your hand. It beats hands down investing in crypto or the stock market or anything that you invest in where it's just numbers on a screen. It's so nice to actually have a physical asset in your hand. So I think it's very, very important to just make that first purchase. Don't think too hard about where you're buying. Don't think too hard about what the particular piece is, whether it's going to be a round, whether it's going to be a coin, whether it's going to be a bar. Just go out and make that first purchase. Now, I'm not saying go on eBay and buy a 1 ounce gold coin straight away and take the risk. I'm saying go out on eBay and buy a 1 gram gold bar. Just go out on eBay and buy a 1 gram gold bar. Just go out on Atkinson's or Chard's or Bullion by Post or wherever you feel like it. Even if you just want to go to the raw mint so you know that it's the real deal, go and buy your first 1 gram gold bar. Get it in your hand. Feel the sense of satisfaction of actually holding real money, a real asset, something that is actually physically in your possession. It's such an empowering feeling, and it really is the way to go, in my opinion, when you first want to start your stacking journey. Now, I hope you found this video interesting. I just wanted to kind of reach out to those of you that are still sitting on the fence, those of you that have been watching not just my videos, but other YouTubers' videos on watching their stacks and maybe thinking, there's no point me getting involved in this, I'm too far behind. To put it into perspective, you only need to talk to 10 people in your life about precious metals and you'll see how many people don't even know about this asset. You speak to 10 family members or 10 of your friends down the pub, or even 10 people that you work with, 10 work colleagues, and you talk to them about precious metals. Say to them, what about precious metals? Have you looked into precious metals as an investment? What are your thoughts on it? I guarantee you that pretty much every single person you speak to in real life hasn't even heard about gold and silver as an investment. They don't even understand it at all. So just the fact that you've even started watching this video today shows that you're ahead of the crowd. It shows that you've got your head switched on. It shows that you want to convert your fiat currency into something that's going up in value over time as opposed to losing value over time. So do let me know what you think about today's video. Like I said, it's a way of getting those of you that are still sitting on the fence to just make that first purchase. Stop overthinking it. Stop thinking about where you're going to buy from, what piece you're going to buy. Yes, you might buy on eBay and you might get a piece that's fake, like I said earlier, but that is all part of the experience. It's all part of the learning. As long as you're not risking crazy money, and as long as you're not going on eBay and buying a 5 ounce gold bar or something like that, as long as you're just going on there and buying a 1 gram piece of gold or a 1 ounce silver coin, something like that, just like I said, to get your foot through the door and really start learning what this is all about. Now, it's also very important to remember that it all soon adds up. Now, if your first purchase is, like I said, a 1 gram piece of gold, it only takes 31 1 gram pieces of gold to equal 1 troy ounce. So you've only really got to buy just over 1 gram of gold a month. And before you know it, after just over a year, you've got a whole ounce of gold. Now you can see in today's backdrop, I actually have a 1 gram piece of gold. And that is to represent the power of making your first purchase. Because like I said, it only takes 31 of these to actually equal a whole ounce of gold. So even if your first purchase is 1 gram gold, you might buy a 1 gram piece of gold and you actually really like it. You think it's a really good way of converting your fiat currency into something more tangible. It might fit with your budget quite nicely. You might quite like the idea of putting away between 50 and 70 pounds a month and just buying a piece of gold, a 1 gram bar. And like I said, before you know it, you'll have a whole ounce worth of gold. So it does really add up. And just to kind of represent the way it adds up, I've got 31 1 gram pieces of silver on the side here. And you can see it's not very much really when you think about it. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope this inspired those of you that are still sitting on the fence and haven't yet made your first pickup, whether it be gold or silver. I wouldn't advise buying 1 gram pieces of silver because you do pay a very high premium. And in my opinion, it's not that expensive to pick up a 1 ounce piece of gold. So it doesn't really benefit you to be buying anything below the 1 ounce side when it comes to silver. But when you're making your first purchase of gold, I would highly recommend looking into the more fractional pieces because it's a way of not locking up too much capital and it's a way of getting your foot through the door and seeing if this investment is for you. So as always, thanks very much for watching my videos. I hope you found this video interesting. I hope you liked today's backdrop. I thought it was quite cool. I thought it's a nice way of showing off these 1 gram pieces and actually giving them a more larger than life perspective. So as always, thanks very much for watching my videos. Thanks for all the 365 Club members. I really do appreciate all the support. And as always, I hope you have a very nice day.